Hey, welcome back to VR in Godot. So in this quote-unquote final video, I want to look at what I was able to accomplish on this Weeping Angels game. And I apologize for the audio. I'm having to use both my headset audio as well as my VR headset audio, and it's a little bit cumbersome, so I apologize in advance. So around this false corner, I've got an angel here, so we'll play with him for a second. And this is why I say quote unquote, is because I still have the placeholder model for the angel, and I really want to put in a good model for the angel. I think that would add to the creepy factor quite a bit. I was also thinking about maybe using a gargoyle instead, just to be different, but I think the statue element is definitely important. Anyways, but my Blender skills or my modeling skills are not up to snuff enough to do that right at the moment, and I really want to take the time to do that, but I don't want to hold up working on some other stuff in the meantime for that. So that's why I'm going to go ahead and move on. But I wanted to show off the features of this now. So yeah, so it's based on the flashlight, not the headset, so I can look away and look back, and he's still frozen because my flashlight stayed on. But if I move the flashlight away, then he starts to come at me. And he does, if they can see you, they'll face at you. And yeah, so no matter where I move, he's going to keep aiming at me. And if I take the flashlight away, he moves closer. And I tweaked with the movement a little bit. If it was too fast, you know, you get gobbled up before you realized it. And I got lost. And he got me. So yeah, so I've got this red screen when he gets you, and so let's look at real quick how I did that. So let's take a look in the code. Let me get my headset off. Alright, so in the code what I did is for the player scene I added a CSG sphere, and it's cool, they've got this invert faces, and I was able to invert that in. So what that does is, imagine a sphere like a basketball, but only the outside of it's visible. And so by turning on this invert faces, it inverts it the other way, so only the inside of the basketball is visible. And then I just put that around the player's head. So there it is right there in those darker blue lines. I made it real small so that you don't move the flashlight through it and stuff. But yeah, there's just a sphere around the player's head, and most of the time it's invisible. And I used an animation player down here, and I've got on death and on win. So on win I go from transparent to green, and on death I go from transparent to red. And then I've got an initialize. I like to have these initialization animations so that you can set it as the default to kind of set stuff up. And so that sends it to just pure transparent. So when you start up the game, this sphere is transparent, and then when you run into something, it changes color. So I thought that was really neat, and was a pretty easy effect to add. You could also, I was thinking of using this for scene transitions, so you would go from transparent to like a black, and that would allow you to, you know, have a fade out effect, move to the next scene, and then fade it back in, and that way you don't have the real disorienting for the player. Matter of fact, that may even help with the snap turning, as you could add a very quick animation to this to have it animate. That would probably be a decent enhancement. But anyways, so yeah, I've got two bad guys in here, and I mean, you just drag them in so you could have as many as you wanted. But I've got one if you go down the wrong path, and I've got another one here in the way of the correct path that you've got to kind of keep at bay as you sneak your way around here. So let's give that a try real quick while we keep playing, keep talking. I'm going to move my headset back down, and let's do this. So yeah, I really enjoyed working on this project, and but what I found out was that I was more interested in the technical aspects than I was necessarily in the game itself, and so I found that I wasn't super interested in playing it a lot, which made it difficult to kind of keep working on it at a consistent pace. So yeah, this guy, this is where I need to get, and he's wanting to get me, so the only way to get around here is to keep that flashlight on him, turn your head into the darkness, which is really tough because I can't see him, and make my way. Oh, he got me. Let's try again. Yeah, you could do all kinds of really fun stuff with the challenges of this if you wanted to invest in making more levels. Oh, I ran into a wall. Couple things, if I was being hypercritical of myself, other than just the graphics, I would probably try and fix. One of the first things I would fix is the collision of the player. So I can, I'm right now I'm colliding into that wall, but I'm a good foot away from it. So I would probably enhance that. You notice I let him pass too far. I'm not going to be able to get around him. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk over here back to where I started, and he can't see me anymore, so he should go back to his starting position. But yeah, I would fix that, and I'll show you what that looks like in the code and why it works that way. See, he moved back, so now I'm going to be able to get down here. Gotta go quick. Alright, so that's where I gotta get, so try and keep my flashlight on him, move through. Alright, looking back. Okay, whew. I got around. So if I can sneak over here and just look around the corner. Do we see him? Oh, there he is. Yep. He's wanting to get me. Alright, so then I've got a wind state over here. So if you make it to the fountain and are able to, drink from the fountain, the screen turns green using that same sphere for a wind state. So yeah, I really enjoyed working on this. And like I said, from a technical perspective, it was a lot of fun. The thing that I enjoyed the most was the AIs on these guys. That was actually strangely entertaining to work on. And the other things I think worked out really well was the spotlight on the flashlight. I think modeling this was kind of a waste of time because you can't really see it in VR. But you kind of needed something there in case you looked at your own hand. So yeah, it was good, but kind of a little bit of a waste of time putting the effort into making it look nice. The spotlight though worked really, really well. The dark scene worked really, really well. And the AIs I think turned out pretty good. There's a little bit of bugginess around them that I could polish out if I spent some more time, but I was pretty tickled with it. I think the things that would help it the most is obviously making the model there, and then the movement. Oh, let's look at that real quick. So on the player object here, the kinematic body is at the top with the collision shape, and this big collision shape is what hits the walls and the angels can eat. So I did this big because if you move your head around, I didn't want your head going through a wall. So you could still do that by moving out of your play space far enough, or moving away from the center of your play space far enough to get out of this collision box, but it works pretty fine for me just sitting here in a chair playing. But it is a little bit awkward because you run into walls pretty easy because it's so large. And this is what we move when we use the controls to move. But if I stood up and walked around, this is the object that moves. So your player is actually staying still while your head is kind of moving around. So what we would need to do is move this kinematic body somehow underneath the camera. So that when the camera moved, it would kind of move the player with it, or somehow attach it perhaps to it. So maybe these objects would reside next to each other, and then they would impact each other through code. Like we would want to use the move and slide with the kinematic player, because if we made the player a direct child of the camera, then you could like force yourself through walls and stuff, which would cause funky stuff with the physics. So yeah, that's going to be interesting, and will definitely be more important in other games. But it was definitely a little visible here. So anyways, I just wanted to show off this game in its kind of quote-unquote final state. And yeah, I will be trying to make it a better model for it in the future, but I didn't want to hold up any other projects that I wanted to work on in the meantime. So yeah, I'm going to call a lid on this. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to, before I post this, I'm going to push it to GitHub and put the link in the description. So if you're interested in trying this out, you have a Rift headset, or don't mind doing a little recoding to move it over to Steam VR, then you're welcome to download it and give it a try. So I hope you enjoyed this series, and we'll see you next time.